The scope of my talk shall be essentially on these 3 points. One is understanding the concept of stress. The second is in terms of these techniques. There are a number of techniques, but 3 simple techniques. You may get a bonus also. Before you just figure out whether when the force comes out and what are the long-term strategies of stress. But the main premise of my presentation over here is the machine designed by the mechanic is reasonably okay. Only the environment which the machine has been used has changed a lot. What is it? Who is this mechanic? God Almighty. The way our body has been designed has been actually been able to cope up with stress. But what has happened is the environment has changed. For example, think about our ancestors in the Stone Age, prehistoric times. What is the type of stress that cavemen had to face? You know, once in a while when the lion attacked him or a tiger attacked him, that stressful situation used to happen. But now the mere thought of a boss creates stress. It's not only the thought, just think about it. Earlier, a stressful situation could happen once in a month or maximum twice a month. Today what happens? Every minute, right from the moment you wake up till the time you go to sleep, it is stress. For example, when we pop out of the bed, very few of us look out of the window and say, "Good morning, Lord," and say that yes, another 24 hours I have at my disposal. But most of us, the sheer thought of going to office, we look at the window and say, "Good Lord, morning." And then it starts, the maid servant doesn't come, children don't eat the breakfast, you are stuck in the traffic, computer is slow, etc. etc. So, the body mechanism is right, but the amount of such stresses have increased, and that is what the problem is. Are you able to get the point? Okay. 3 different techniques of managing stress. One is reality versus the expectations. The second is called as mindfulness, and the last one is influence. For example, you may get stressed out of this after this talk because you might have great expectations for this talk. And those expectations are not full. Then you say, actually I had come with lot of hopes, but you are letting me down. So please don't expect anything great out of this talk. The first and simplest way of managing stress is the gap between expectations and reality. See, we have expectations from ourselves, from our children, from our bosses, from our colleagues, from our customers, from our guests. Yes or no?
Yes.
And those high expectations sometimes let us down. You know, I remember the scene was Bangalore Medical College. Second year anatomy class was going on. And the professor asked one simple question to a lady called Sushma. He said, "Which is that part of the body which expands to 10 times its normal size under an emotional impact?" Everybody was silent. Yes, Sushma, can you tell me the answer? Sushma got up and said, "I would rather not answer that question." Professor said, "That's fine." So he looked at another guy called Ramesh. He said, "Ramesh, can you answer that question?" So Ramesh said, "Sir, it is the pupil of an eye." He said, "That's the right answer." Coming back to Sushma, he said, "I can draw 3 inferences from what you have said. 1, you have not studied your lessons properly. 2, you have a dirty mind. And 3, you will be thoroughly disillusioned. This is what happens with us when we expect too much out of life. Just look at, if any alien were to come to India and watch our TV, what will see? That shadi is the ultimate purpose of life. And they feel that, and then they live happily thereafter. Does it happen? It doesn't happen. So, and we go on living on that hope. Any of you know this play by Samuel Beckett called Waiting for Godot? That's the story that where we go on expecting something, this will happen, that will happen. Nothing happens. Maybe we'll get a good job, maybe good increment, something will happen, something will happen. So now what happens over here is, there's expectations and reality. The bigger the gap, bigger the stress. For example, sales guys expect to get an order fast, but the customer daily dies. There's an RFP, you project that to the boss, but it doesn't happen. So when there is a gap between the expectations and the reality, if the expectations are very, very high, how do you change those expectations? So there are 2 ways. Either you change the reality, or you reduce the expectations. Now let me ask you a simple question. Between an educated man and an illiterate man, who is more wise, who is wiser? Yes, you will say, educated, isn't it? Listen to this story. In fact, quite often when I visit my friends, and particularly if the scene is morose at home, or sad, there are 2 possibilities. Either A, somebody is not keeping well, or B, the child is studying in either 10th or 12th standard. I get it all. Now we have cut off the cable TV, as if some heavens are beautiful. So one such house in my complex I visited. Father, mother, all well-educated. Father is an M.Tech from IIT. They were very sad. I asked them a simple question, Kiran, what happened? My son just scored only 89%. I said, what was your expectation? They said 95. And that time I saw Kiran's driver coming in the room. And he just distributed some pedas. He said, what pedas for? He said, sir, my son has passed SSC 58%. He said, how can you be happy? He said, sir, don't compare me with your lifestyle. For me, even my son from the slum where I am, even if he passes on that itself is a great achievement. Now just look at it. What happens here? We have very, very high expectations of life. Right it or not? It doesn't mean that we should not. But does a particular person has that capability? If that doesn't happen, then what happens? Today I see advertisements of all the classes that everybody wants to become an Edison and Einstein and all that stuff. Is it possible? But the funniest part is, Edison, Einstein, they never went to any coaching classes. And you cannot create Einsteins out of a coaching class. So what happens is, how do you have a balance between your expectations and reality? Once I watched a conversation between father and son. Son was in 3rd standard. Father was taking his mathematics homework and father asked one simple question, tell me my son, what is the answer multiplication of 9 into 8? After a profound thought like the way Rajiv Gandhi thinks or Rahul Gandhi thinks, he said, Dad, I think 9 into 8 is 74. If you were the father, what would you do? Today's parents are quite compassionate, but earlier in your earlier generation, your father would have given a non-verbal response, is it? But this father, new generation, compassionate father was very so nice. He took out a Cadbury chocolate and handed it over to his son. The neighbor who was watching this conversation said, "Are you crazy? How can you give a chocolate for such an answer? Because 9 into 8 is what?" He said, "Yes, but yesterday he said 56. So, what I'm saying is, ask yourself a simple question. Those situations, can you change the reality? You change it. If you cannot, can you reduce your expectations? And I see this. Husbands have expectations of wife, wife have husband, expectations of husband. All this, we expect too much. Today's generation Y, they want everything so fast. And those expectations is creating a stress. Quite often, most of this stress is self-created. Agreed or not? So, there is a possibility that you change the reality or you reduce the expectations. So, you should know when to do that. Does not mean that you should not have expectations. Yes, as bosses, we should have expectations from our staff. But tell me, as managers, let me ask you a question. 20 years back, a manager used to conduct an interview of a candidate. Today you have to reduce expectations so less because now the candidate interviews. Yes or no? Yes. Even if the candidate comes for interview, you are happy. In the hospitality sector, where the attrition is around 60 to 65%, boss, even if he comes, forget list. At least he can come and talk something. Happens. Think about it. So, in fact, whatever question he might ask, okay, at least he joins, that is the main thing. So, this is one thing which you are doing unconsciously. So remember, but generally what happens is, when you have very high expectations, it goes on creating stress. And sometimes people, they get into very perfectionist mode. I want everything so perfect, so everything in such a manner, then it leads to stress. IT sector. I was told, once a TCS HR manager was conducting an interview in an engineering college. And after shortlisting few of the candidates, one candidate asked, okay, tell me what is your expectation, salary? So he said, sir, I have attended a lot of motivational talk. I have been told that not failure but low is crime, 3 lakhs. So HR manager said, but is it per month or per year? He said, no sir, per month. So the HR manager said, it's like this. Actually, our starting package is 5 lakhs. Surya Hotel, just think about what happens in IT sector. 5 lakhs. He said, 5 lakhs per month? He said, yes. And if this is not sufficient, let me tell you what are the perks that will be drawing. A is 1 month's paid holiday, 3 BHK apartment, fully air conditioned, a Mercedes in your coach, 15 days of that holiday in Switzerland, 15 days in Hawaii. Which that guy said, sir, are you joking? To which that guy said, who started the joke? Sorry, I think you are there, but
no, we were shocked when you said TCS, Mercedes, and all that.
So remember one thing. Having expectation is fine, but having too much of expectations is actually not good. Clear? I'll take question answer unless you have something very specific. Otherwise, I'll take it. The second technique is called as mindfulness. Mindfulness is a technique which is actually developed in Buddhism. Buddhism, again, there are 2 streams. One is the Hinayana path, one is the Mahayana path. In Hinayana, there is what is called as Vipassana. And there are also offshoots like in Zen and Tao, this mindfulness technique is followed. What it says is do things by awareness. And the more and more things you do with awareness, is your stress level comes down. You do the thing with precision and humility. So what does mindfulness says? Stress is also created by self. And what is the self is, there's a concept what is called as energy wheel. And what does this energy wheel say is, in our body, there are different types of emotions which run into continuously. You can say the first part is called as hot negative. There is a conflict. And what does the conflict stand for? There is an anger, there is a fear, there is a worry. Happens or not? All of us go through this, isn't it? So just like hot negative, there is something called as hot positive. Once in a while you feel like inspiration, ambition, joy on top of the world. You have achieved, you have got a major contract, or you have completed a project well within time. But sometimes there is also a sense of achievement. When you are totally relaxed, there is a cool positivity, and there is something called as the stagnation mode. After some time, you ask yourself, same company, same job, how long am I going to do it? Okay, my boss doesn't change, this is going to happen, and all that stuff. So let me ask you a question. So these are the four quadrants, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Given a choice. Given a choice. How many of you would like to be on the left quadrants, the 1 and 3? Please raise your hands. How many of you would like to be in the quadrants 2 and 4? Please raise your hands. Most of you. Why not 1 and 3? It's bad. Anger is bad, fear is bad, worry is bad, all that stuff. In fact, once I was delivering such a talk, and I said, all these things are required. But this full negative, boredom, in spite of you wanting to be in quadrant 2 and 4, most of the times where do we land up? We land up in 1 and 3. Agree or not? We think by changing our job, changing our department, something can improve. Sometimes changing a partner also we think, but it doesn't work. Quite often the positive psychology, what it says is, you should never think, you should only think positive, isn't it? Yes or no? You must have read Shiva Khera and Brian Tracy and all that stuff. I have a friend called Vinay Kamath, highly motivational speaker. And he was one of the audiences during the program. He said, no, Rajan, you should never think of negative things in life. You should always think positive. I said, no, but negative is also part of it. He said, no. Always tell yourself one simple thing. He said, what is it? Think positive. And he'll say, you should always ask the question, things could be worse, things could be worse. I said, okay. I said, Vinay, just look at it, the crowd, so much of crowd in Bangalore and all that stuff. He said, things could be worse, go to Bombay. Bangalore is far better. But I see the pollution levels, in Majestic area and all that stuff. He said, go to Calcutta, go to Delhi, Bangalore is still better, think positive. So I said, anything, situation you can think positive. He said, yes. I said, Vinay, our friend Deepak. He said, yeah, what happened? He said, last Sunday, he came unannounced from Delhi. On Sunday evening when he reached home, he opened the latch of his apartment. What did he see? He saw his wife in a compromising position with one of his close friends. And Deepak got so wild, he opened a drawer, took out a revolver and shot that friend dead. Vinay, tell me for heaven's sake, isn't this bad, terrible? He said, no, things could be still worse. I said, how? He said, instead of a Sunday, if you were to come on a Saturday, I would have been dead. positive psychology to a great can't take it. Sometimes you accept something negative happens. You need to. But the moment we get stuck, only 1 and 3, what happens is we do not give providence or existence a chance to live everything. For example, if you go on eating only sweet, what will happen? You will get diabetes. So you need to add sometimes it's sour, sometimes spicy, sometimes bland. You need to eat something salty. So this energy will correspond to all those aspects of life. Never negate it. For example, even though you may say that you would like to be in 2 and 4, most of us land up in 1 and 3. But imagine, if you were to lie only in 2 and 4, will this vehicle move on the road? Yes or no? So don't you think that our expectation from life is something too much? So it is said that this energy wheel starts working in our mind, in our body, the moment we are born, and it doesn't stop, till when? Till we die. So that means at any moment of time, for example, sometimes you may feel angry about something. Actually, that person may not be this thing, that anger, emotion from a amygdala is just coming. Now, the more you resist, the more it persists. The more you say that I will not be afraid of fear, you will be afraid. The more you say I will not worry. In fact, I have got a very powerful technique where you will not worry any time in life. Would you like to know that technique? Tell me. Tell me, raise your hands, only those people are there. Okay. I will tell you the technique that you have to practice for 21 days. But even if you miss it even once, you will start worrying. But before doing that, remember one thing, you should never think of a white elephant. What happens? You think of that. So, remember, the self-talk that we do on a day-to-day basis, I will not worry, I will not fear and all that stuff. Your subconscious mind does not have the word not. So the moment you say I will not worry, what actually happens is not worry. Let me give you a very simple example. Think about your childhood days. Some important guests have come at your home. Your mother has prepared some great delicacies and you are asked to take the tray in the drawing room. And as you are confident you are coming out, that time your father tells you, be careful, don't fall down. You know what is the first thing happens to you? You start trembling. Just think about it, yes or no? Because the moment your father gives that message, don't fall down, actually your subconscious said, I'll fall down. It has happened when children start learning bicycle. The child is driving happily. Father says, hey, be careful, you will fall down. Next moment you see it fall down. Happens or not? So that is how we give wrong messages towards subordinates. Clear? In fact, just think about it. You know, India, whatever Narendra Modi say about Swachh Bharat, we are one of the dirtiest places. For any man going on the road, when he sees a notice, यहाँ पर पेशाब करना मना है, what is the first thought he gets then? Till that time he was normal. But we don't realize this and we give on negative messages. And that's the reason. The moment you say, I don't want to be in 1 and 3, where do you land up? You land up in 1. Okay? This is the way the circle, the clock goes on working in your mind all the time. Now we'll do a very quick exercise, okay? How do you become mindful? So I'll ask you a question, okay? Now in that question, don't give me a correct answer. There is a difference between a correct answer and an honest answer. Okay, correct answer and honest. Correct answer we give to our bosses. Okay, honest answer we keep it to ourselves. So just tell me which emotion comes to you when you read this. Don't laugh, tell me the emotion. Jealousy. Security. But what is the emotion?
Fear.
Fear. The emotion of worry. This is what you have to forget.
Scared.
What happens? Am I getting that? See, particularly ladies, I see, we try to prove what we are not. And that effort, in fact, that's why this cosmetic industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Why don't we accept the way we are? 90% of stress will come from. My wife stopped coaxing me to put, diet on that. Since I told her at least my audience and customer will give me a benefit of doubt. If not anything, he said, for the sake of grey hair, they'll respect. So just think about it. It is, we all the time are into a negation mode. We don't accept what is. You always feel this. Tell me, when your cities is enough? Who is creating the stress?
Ourselves.
Can you see that? If you achieve 15% growth process to 20%, if it's 20%, you say 30%, 30%, you say 40. Even if there is recession, say don't be happy. I'm not saying it's possible, but just think about it. We have conditioned ourselves not to be happy. Agreed or not? If you are the boss, if you are the GM, you have to think about this, the shareholders, how and all that stuff. You see? So, important thing is, remember one thing. Come what may, we have no control any emotions that we get at any moment of time. At this moment, you might be feeling bored, someone might be yawning. That's a different story. That's why it is said, a yawn may be bad manners, but at least it's an honest expression. So, I hope you are arranged for some tea coffee. That is the carrot I can dangle, you see. So, you have no choice which emotion will hit you at any moment of time. Absolutely. One moment can be anger, next moment can be fear, third moment can be lust, fourth moment can be, jealousy. It can be. How do you manage that? Just be yourself. Just allow that to be yourself. If you just allow that to pass, then that emotion will not hit you. But the more you say no, what happens? The more you resist a particular emotion, the more it persists. Think about it. And that is mindfulness. Ask yourself this question, which is that one emotion where we get stuck? There might be a life partner who might have done a lot of things bad to you. There might be a colleague who might have done things. You say, I will never pardon him for what he has done to me 10 years back. Happens or not? Tell me who suffers the most? You decide that you are not going to pardon, so what happens? So the mere thought, your brain, let me tell you something, the brain does not remember what has happened 10 years back or now, it creates the same impact in your body. Clear? Now we'll look into before this technology, information and all that stuff, we'll do a very simple exercise, okay? We'll do a very simple exercise, relaxation. Would you like to do that? Because I'll be speaking about what is called as these things. What is a sympathetic nervous system? What is a parasympathetic nervous system? Okay, so just, in fact, I want somebody who can help me in the audio levels if it is perfectly alright. Okay, so I think before that what we'll do is, I'll just tell you about, before going to the relaxation, somebody can come there later, technology and information overload. We just take this and then we go to the relaxation, okay? Do you think technology creates problems or not? Tell me who is this guy? We can recollect Rajnikant and all of them. This guy is very
Was Kabali Vijay.
Kabali. This guy, his name is Alvin Toffler. This person died, passed away just 1 week back. 87 years old. One of the very eminent and profound thinkers of the 20th century. In fact, Alvin Toffler, Peter Drucker, and Bill Gates are three people who are considered to be who have really shaped the 20th century in terms of the modern way of thinking. Who was Alvin Toffler? Toffler in 1975 wrote a book called as Future Shock. He wrote very interesting books. Very interesting. That time he said what is going to happen to the humanity, and most of his predictions came true in the next 20-25 years. Just think about, ask your parents 25-30 years back a simple question. Tell me how much time it would take to get a telephone connection in India. What would they have said? 6 months, minimum 1 year. Below that would never get it. Time to get a two-wheeler, minimum 2 to 3 years. Would they think that within a day people can get these things or mobile telephone? So he predicted all these things. What he said was, these are the different gadgets, these are the different things that you're saying. Let me ask you a very simple question. How many of these gadgets have been invented, have appeared on this planet in the last 50 years, out of humanity's history of last 1,000 years or 2,000 years? What percentage of those inventions have happened in the last 50 years? 10%, 20%? Any guesses? Yes, you are right. It is around not 80, it's around 90% of the things that you are saying have happened in the last 50 years. And that change has been so fast, it is causing stress. Let me ask you, those who are original Bengaloreites, 25-30 years back, what was the weather in Bangalore? Today you might see it as an exception, but I'll tell you, when I came, there was fans also were not needed. Agreed or not, but what has happened now? Air conditions have become a norm. Would you have asked anybody or think about air conditioning in Bangalore 30 years back? That is the change that is happening. The sad thing is we are not ready to accept that change. And how much humans are bombarded with information? Just look at this. This is the type of data that we are getting bombarded with. We are getting a 200 times more information, 200x times than 1986. That just 20 or 30 years. 200 times. And how is that? Just look at it. Okay, what can you see from this? I hope somebody's mobile is not on. Does it happen with you? All the time we are getting bombarded. But what do you do with it? You still get addicted with it. Huh? That's the reason I said the machine design was okay, but the environment has changed so drastically. But we are not doing anything. You see that? So just don't blame the environment for everything. We also have to take. In a man and a horse, who is intelligent? Who is certainly a man. But listen to this. When 10 horses are running, thousands of men and women watch them on the rescue. But if 15 people are running, do you think any horse will do that? So why can't we just let go? See, the trouble with us is till night we are on WhatsApp and internet and all that stuff, watching those inane, idiotic serials. In fact, it is said that night when you watch TV, that light emission actually disturbs your sleep. It is normally recommended for 2 hours. At least you should not watch. But we don't do that. We are feeling that something is going to happen, something. This let go is very important in life. Now, I just recollected this poem. Many of you can remember it also. What is this life if full of care? What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. What is this life is full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. No time to stand beneath the boughs. No time to stand beneath the bow. Okay? And no time to stand beneath the bow and stare as long as the ship and cow. No time to see when the woods pass by. No time to see when the woods pass by, where the squirrels hide their nuts in the grass. No time to see in broad daylight. No time to see in broad daylight streets with stars like skies in the night. So in that way, can we just do nothing like horses, sheep and cows once in a while? Parts of our nervous system. One is called as the sympathetic nervous system. One is called as the sympathetic nervous system and the second is called as the parasympathetic nervous system. What is sympathetic nervous system? Sympathetic is when you are under stress. When you are all the time feeling that yes, in fact today we have that phantom effect that we all the time feel some WhatsApp message will come, some SMSs will come. In fact today people's self-esteem comes down if they do not get the enough number of likes on the Facebook and all that stuff. So that is how we all the time our sympathetic nervous system gets triggered. But whereas what is parasympathetic is when you are relaxed. So tell me, any of you are able to get into this parasympathetic nervous system relaxation in the last 10 minutes? Any of you could get that feeling? What did you feel? Anybody like to share? What did you feel? Apart from the fact some of you might have slept, that doesn't matter. You could have caught up without sleep. Yeah. Any feeling that you get? What happened in your body? You felt relaxed. See, what happens is when you are under stress, your pupils get dilated. You know, your mouth becomes dry. See, when particularly in public speaking as an exercise, when I told you an example, your heart beats racing faster. You see, your palms start becoming sweaty. You know? But when you are relaxed, exactly the other things happen. Your body becomes cool, your heart becomes less. And that is very important in managing stress. Actually, God Almighty has given both these responses to us, but the second one we rarely use. And that is the best way to come out of this stress. How do you activate the parasympathetic nervous system? In fact, now we will be doing something very interesting, the third important technique. So which are the first two techniques? Let me see your recall factor. Which are the two techniques? What was the first one? Expectations and reality. Don't expect too much. Yes, what else? Mindfulness. So whenever you are eating, whenever you are walking, when you are speaking, don't talk too fast. You see, speak silence, and that's how you can communicate. The third and most important thing is called as concern and influence. This is the children's future. What is that part which we can bring under your control?
Education.
Provide them decent education. That is within your control. But you cannot control their future. Forget there, we cannot control our future itself. We don't know whether my job is safe 6 months later or not, Adrian. Am I right? So, the guys from Korea are asking this question. Think about it. You don't know whether this property will get sold, mergers, acquisitions happens or not, yes or no. So, it is beyond our control. So, the moment you say it's beyond our control, then what happens? You have to look into, so tell me, worrying about health. In fact, on worrying health, I had given a very powerful technique. You know what? A lot of guys say, I love worrying. I said, wonderful, you love worrying. I'll give you a very powerful technique. He said, what is the most creative time of your worrying? He said, 7, or of your time. He said, morning 7 to 7:30. I said, keep that as a worrying time. So if you start worrying about your job at 3:30 now or 4 o'clock, this is not my worrying time, 7 to 7:30. Tell me, you tell your boss, I'm worrying about my customers. Boss said, don't actually go and work, don't worry. That customer is screaming, don't worry, go and handle that angry customer. Am I right or wrong? So, do what is within your control rather than what is beyond your control. And that's why it is said, what is it? Read it loudly.
Give me strength to achieve the things I can, serenity to accept the things I cannot, and the wisdom to know the difference.
So now, which part of the circle does it correspond? The strength to change the things.
Influence.
Your customer is angry is beyond your control. Let me tell you, people who are in front office, people who are in production, people in F&B service. What is within your control? Can you take a proactive action? Can you understand that person's background? Is it within your control?
Yes.
Can you see that? So always ask this, what is within my control and what is beyond my control? The serenity to accept the things which I cannot. What is meant by serenity? Actually it is equanimity, but for your convenience I will say it's patience. What is serenity? And where does it correspond to? Which circle, listen to this, which circle does it correspond to? Serenity to accept the things I cannot
Concerns.
is the concern. Very good. But the most important thing is the wisdom to know the difference. Which part does it correspond? So remember, this is your strength, this is your serenity, and this is the wisdom. So in life, lot of times we say, only if I were to get that designation. The F&B manager says, only if I become the executive chef, if I say only if I become the chef. Do you think that all problems can get solved?
It will become different, bro.
You will have a different set of problems. So what does it say? The problem in life is not that there are no problems, but the thought that there should be no problem, that is the problem. Work-life balance, I'll just take a very small because of time constraint. What it says is, if you want to have work-life balance, there are 3 factors. One is what you love. And what is your domain experience? For example, you are a maintenance engineer, these things. If you are from IHM, okay, you got culinary experience and also there's a competency that what you love and what you are good at, or what is your experience. And the third thing is what pays well. Quite often why stress happens is we do not match all these 3. Look at it. Why do most of the guys go to IT? Because it pays well. Sorry, IT people over here. Okay, it pays well, but quite often they don't like it. So now, just look at it. You got a domain experience and what pays well. What happens to you?
Make money, but
You are HR bored. Quite often, people join the hospitality industry because there is a glamour. But it's also tough, isn't it? It's not as easy as what it looks. For the outsiders, 5-star sector may look, but there is a lot of challenge because the difference between the hospitality industry and the other industries, here you are seeing your customer face to face. In the other industry, IT industry, is only the boss messes up your happiness. He is the boss as well as the customer, or the guest all the time. So the amount of pressure is very high. Agreed or not?
yes.
So now if we join an industry just because it pays well and just because I am from IHM, we may be rich but we'll be bored. And that causes stress because we are not taken a very fundamental piece here. I hope this does not lead to attrition. I'm sorry. Attrition, you have asked for trouble. The second thing is, what pays well and you love something. A lot of things I ask this question to people. Hey, I want to trek across I want to move across the globe and all that stuff. It's just a dream. I'll write a travel log, then I'll become a bestseller, I'll print millions of copies. And boss, kuch karo yaar, at least travel from Whitefield over to Mysore. So a lot of people have these great ideas, but they're only good at giving ideas. So if you, what pays well and what you love, it'll be just a dream. You love something, you got domain experience, but it doesn't pay well, then you are happy. Are you getting the distinction? So what you should be doing for work-life balance? It's a big subject. This I address in great detail. Look at, if your passion, your competence, and the market demand, it all matches, you are happy and successful. Ask yourself. In fact, in my training program, I always say, I quote Nietzsche, who used to say, you are the sum total of all your choices. Now, what are the dysfunctional ways of coping stress? What are the ways in which people cope up with stress? Smoking.
Meditation.
No, that is a functional. Smoking, you get a stress, distress for some time. Okay. What is the other one? Alcohol. But beyond that, sometimes, how many of you tend to eat more when you are under stress? Eating is also stress. And what is the last one?
Shouting.
Last is conspicuous shopping. Yeah, shopping. In fact, I was reading a report in the Economic Times. Look at it, the younger generation Y, what it does. This boy took a loan of 20,000 to pay EMIs. Shamik Prakash, 19 years old, bought loan for 50,000 to buy a mobile phone. This is classic. This is classic. To celebrate her dog's birthday, she has taken a loan. Will you be happy? The dogs will be happy. That's what I'm saying. Horses, sheep, cows, dogs, they'll be living much better life. Oscar Wilde once said there are two tragedies in life. One is not to get anything, and the other is to get everything. Generation Y, sorry to say that, but a lot of times we don't know. Consumerism is also defined. Conspicuous consumption, consumerism is defined as buying those things which we do not like to impress those people whom we do not love with the money which we do not have. Do we really need so many things in life? Whom are we trying to impress? Instead of stress management, I got powerful technique, stress elimination. Ready? Yes, all of you?
Yes.
But let me tell you something. If there will be no stress, think about it. You get 4 days holidays. You sit in front of the computer, you sit in front of the TV. What will happen? You get bored. So remember, first thing,
Stress is required.
some amount of stress is always required in life. Never negate stress. If it is very low, it is boredom. And if it is very high, Nihali Chikzed Nihali has done a lot of work on this subject called flow. I will not take that because of time constraints today. What does stress do to your body? These are the different things which happen to your body. It reduces sex hormones, set downs of digestive tract, releases sugar, etc., etc., etc. All these things happen. Increases cholesterol in blood, increases air supply, racing heartbeat. So it is bad, isn't it? Yes or no? Stress does so many things which actually affects body. Then what's the purpose? The purpose is, this was actually to protect. Think about it. Stress response was designed to protect you, and what it says was, but the overuse of this is causing a lot of problems. Let us look at this. It's a major killer. Release of cortisol from adrenal glands. What is the original benefit when cortisol gets before these things? Is instant allergy, protecting from instant allergy. But what happens? What is the negative side? Some of you might be going through this. Today's drawback is even minor colds become frequent. Agreed or not? Look at the next one. Thyroid hormones increase in the blood. So during stressful times, suppose there is a crisis, somebody is not keeping well and you have to take him or her to the ambulance. Yes, that time you have got amazing energy. So that time stress helps. What is the negative side of it? Excess, if you go and getting into it all the time, some people may put on weight, some people may lose weight. Release of endorphins is a painkiller. What is the benefit? Today's drawback, it can aggravate backache and pains. How many of you go through this backache and all? Many of you? It's because of stress. Reduction of sex hormones. Original benefit. With lower libido, life becomes bearable on the battlefield, but now we are looking at our work as a battlefield. In fact, let me just share with you, Madeline Bunting, a British author, has written an amazing book called Willing Slaves. I quote this, Willing Slaves, how the overwork culture is ruining our lives. It's not a bestseller, you will not get in anything, you can just see that. But he makes this amazing statement where he says, today we are not human beings. For the 5 days, we are the producers of producing some services and goods. And last 2 days, we are the consumers who blow that money in the bonds. So today, the question of a human being does not arise. In fact, I have heard a general manager from HP telling his son, so Daddy, when are you going to play with me? He said, no, see, Sunday morning I'll put into my Outlook task calendar, I'll spend some quality time with you. What will that guy understand quality time of half an hour? Everything has become transaction. Yes or no?
Yes.
Marital disharmony, in fact, again, sorry, I should not come back to IT, but it is happening in all the sectors. What is the negative side? So, if you look at it, all such things, there is a positive side of it, but the overuse is actually affecting the body. So, it's not the design of the machine. Where the problem is?
Environment.
That we are using it. It is not only the environment, it is the way we are misusing it. Okay. So remember, what happens is life is 10% of what happens to us and 90% how we respond to it. No one can hurt you without your choice. Learn to ignore what you cannot control and control what you can. What you think of yourself is much more important than what others think of you. Most of the time you want to catch up with the Joneses. If a lot of times with ladies I said, no, this particular dress they have seen last time. So that's why you say, how can you remember which dress has been seen by others? For me it doesn't matter. So what you think of yourself is more important than what others think of you. Accelerating rate, Alvin Toffler calls this a sickness. This sickness is happening to us and we are not taking any drastic steps. We are getting totally disobedient. This is his prediction and it's actually coming true. Today I am seeing the third child is obese. You see the way heart attacks are happening at the age of 25 and 30 and 40. Have you seen that? It was not happening earlier. So this change is happening very, very fast and we need to really cope up with it. You see? So summary is, 1, stress is required. 2, reduce your expectations. 3, whatever you focus on expands. What is the long-term strategy? A, develop a hobby. See, putting a music in your ears all the time, that's not a Play an instrument instead of that. Read something profound. The other day, Ramay and I, we were taking a program in a hotel. We asked the participants, do you read? Forget profound. They asked, sir, what does this mean? I said, at least read some newspapers. They said, no, we are reading it on smartphones. I think it's a decent way of saying that you are not reading anything. Develop a sense of humor. See, a lot of things you will not be able to control, whether it's children's future or anything. You know, you remember this old song from Hum Dono, Devanand's. There he says, मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया, बर्बादियों का शौक मनाना फजूल था, बर्बादियों का जश्न मनाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया. What he means is, for those who do not follow Hindi, is बर्बादियों का शौक मनाना फजूल था. What does it mean?
It's a waste of
It is waste on crime or spoiled milk. So बर्बादी को शौक मनाना फजूल था, बर्बादियों का जश्न मनाता चला गया. I went on celebrating my failures. Yes, this is where I failed. जो मिल गया उसी को मुकद्दर समझ लिया, जो खो गया उसी को बुलाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया, जो मिल गया उसी को मुकद्दर समझ लिया. What I have got, I take as my destiny, but what I have not got, actually it is, I forget. This is very important what Sahir said almost 50 years back. So develop a sense of humor, reduce dependence on technology. Let me ask you one question. How many messages you remember from yesterday's WhatsApp? You will not remember a single one. Why are you wasting so much of time? But people, no, sir, it's for the officer. I have to go on looking at it. These are all the myths that we have created ourselves to remain busy. And appreciate the small things in life. Just be in the present moment. I just remember, because my talks are generally very spontaneous. I remember a poem which is titled, which says, it says something like this. Have you ever watched kids? Have you ever watched kids on a merry-go-round? Have you ever watched kids on a merry-go-round or listened to the rain slapping on the ground? Ever tracked the butterfly's erratic flight? Or gazed at the sun on a fading night? You better slow down. Don't dance so fast. Time is short. The music won't last. Do you run through each day on this life? Do you run through each day on this life when you ask how are you, do you hear the reply? When the day is done, do you lie in your bed with the next 100 chores running in your head? You better slow down, don't dance so fast. Time is short. The music won't last. Ever told your child that we'll do it tomorrow? Ever told your child that we'll do it tomorrow and in your haste not seen his sorrow? Ever let a good friendship die because you had no time to say hello and hi? You better slow down, don't dance so fast. Time is short. The music won't last. When you run so fast to get somewhere, you miss half the fun on reaching there. When you hurry and worry through each new day, it's like an unopened gift thrown away. Life is not a race. Do take it slower. Hear the music before the song is over. And this poem was penned by a 14-year-old teenager, young girl, on her deathbed, dying of blood cancer in New York hospital. Do we really have that sort of problems? Just think about it. If you look at it,